Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Please recite a Surah al-Fatiha. Brother Marhumin and Marhumat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين وهو خير ناصر ومعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وآله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة دائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, brothers and sisters, we continue our discussion very briefly of these surahs of the Holy Quran, the surahs of the Holy Quran, and today we are on surah number 8, Surah al-Anfal. Surah al-Anfal. So this surah is the 8th surah in the Holy Quran in the order that we have, and it is from Medina, from the period in Medina, the career of the Holy Prophet, and it has 75 verses, 75 ayah. And in this blessed surah, the name of this surah is Anfal because it is jam, or it is plural of nafal. What does nafal mean? Nafal means that when two groups are fighting, when two groups have war, then the group that wins, they have to take, or they end up taking, whatever spoils are from the other side, whatever the other side has. So this used to happen before in those days. When these groups used to fight, there was the other side and their spoils, or the booty of war, or the spoils of war. So Anfal means all the spoils of war that the Muslim group here is taking. So this surah was revealed to the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the second year of Hijrah, after the Battle of Badr. And the Battle of Badr happened on the 17th of the month of Ramadan in the second year of Hijrah. And after the Battle of Badr happened, it was the first major battle in the history of Islam, in the career of the Holy Prophet and the Muslimin in Medina. And after this battle happened, the Muslims actually won. And because the Muslims won, then the question arose, how do we deal with whatever we have gathered from the Quraysh and the people of Makkah who lost? So yes, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَنْفَالِ, and they ask you, O Prophet, the Muslimin are asking you about the Anfal, and then say the Anfal are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for His Messenger. The important ayah in this surah is the ayah of Khums. Everyone asks, is Khums wajib? Do we have to give Khums? Yes, Khums is wajib on your savings, and the ayah is ayah number 41 of Surah al-Anfal. Ayah number 41 of Surah number 8 is where Khums is mentioned. Of course, we do not have the time to go into the fiqh of Khums, but you know Khums is on the savings. We also believe in Zakat. Zakat also has to be given. Sadaqah should be given. Khums is one of those things. And verse number 41 talks about the Khums, which is also wajib, and Khums is not only for the war, but it is for whatever you save. And that's a different fiqh discussion. Inshallah, we can get into some other time. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi. Some background history as to the verse and the surah being revealed is that when the Holy Prophet had made the hijrah from the city of Makkah to the city of Medina, he got to Medina, and in Medina he was with his companions who came with him, and the Ahlul Bayt that came with him, himself, his uncle Hamza, of course, and al-muminin and his family from Medina. When they came from Makkah, when they came to Medina, they were called the Muhajirun. The Muhajirun means the migrants or the immigrants in Medina. In Medina. So when they migrated to the city of Medina, they were the Muhajirun, and they were a small group. And the people that helped them in Medina were the Ansar. The Ansar, or the helpers. You meet a lot of people with their last name is Ansari. And what that means is they have a nisbah, they have a relationship to the Ansar of the Holy Prophet in the city of Medina. So when they reached the city of Medina, they left everything behind in Makkah, correct? They left their families, they left their business, they left their wealth, they left everything they had behind in Makkah. And it's not like today where you leave this city, you go to another city, You go to Chicago, you go to Houston, you go to New York, and you work with the same company. They say, okay, we will transfer you. It doesn't work like that then. They have no companies. You work with your family, you work with your tribe. And if you leave them, then you have to establish all those relationships together in a new place. It's very difficult. It's not like there were companies that were hiring people here and there like we have today. It was very different, the economic situation in late antiquity at this time. So the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam joined the Muhajirun and the Ansar together as brothers, and the Ansar said to the Muhajirun, we will try our best to find something for you to do. You do not have your tribes with you, you do not have your families with you, but we will find some space for you to live with us in our homes. And everybody lived in each other's homes and they shared. But there were a small group, even in Medina. All the people of Medina did not become Muslim right away. There was a small group that became Muslim, and Islam was slowly growing in Medina. But the situation in Medina was better for the Muslimin than it was in Mecca. So when this was happening, 2 years this happened, and then the Holy Prophet watched, and the Muslims were watching the people of Mecca. The people of Mecca said that now that these people who have left Mecca, they will have no status with us. All their property is ours, all their money is ours, all their camels, they cannot go back to them. So they confiscated and they took the property of the Muslimin of Mecca, who were now in Medina. So the Muslimin of the Muhajirun, of course, were watching the caravans which went from Mecca all the way to Syria and to other places. And Abu Sufyan and all the people of Mecca, they had this trade going on, but Medina was in the way. So Mecca is in the south, north is Medina, and even north of Medina is Syria and other places where they were trading. So when this happened, the Muslimin were watching the caravans when they would come back. At one point, the people of Mecca, Abu Sufyan himself, was coming from Syria after the summer months. In the fall, he was coming, and he stopped there and he saw that some of the Muslimin were watching him. And what he did was he wanted to take that advantage of that opportunity and he wanted to fight with the Muslimin. And what did he do? He sent one of his messengers who entered Mecca, and he made a lot of drama. He cut the nose and the ears of his camel, he tore his shirt. He did these things which made the people of Mecca seem that there was a lot of tension that was going on and Muslims were attacking, which was not true at that time. The Muslims were just watching these caravans. So the people of Mecca became ready for war, and all the big people of Mecca, Walid ibn Utbah, Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, Umayyah, Abu Jahl, Abu Sufyan, all these big people, the chiefs of Mecca, they came to fight the Muslimin at Badr, which was near the city of Medina. When the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he heard who was coming, he said, Mecca has given us, or Mecca has given the pieces of its heart. I mean, the most precious people of Mecca, they have come to fight the Muslimin. So the Muslimin were at Badr, which has a lot of wells and water, and they were standing there, and they took some water and they made a tank for themselves, and they were just not attacking, they were not offensive. But they were just stationed there, and these people came and the conflict began. They began a conflict. The people of Mecca began a conflict with the Muslimin. So now the question after the war and the Muslimin won, there were 900 of the people of Mecca that they were there. And there were 313 people at the Battle of Badr. 313 men, and there were women there as well who were supporting them. Around 50 women. As we will see, this number also repeats itself. But at this place, the fighters that came from the side of the Muslimin were Imam Ali, of course, and Hamza. And there were 14 Muslims who were made shaheed, and their graves are there near Badr. And there were 70 people from the people of Quraysh who were killed. Half of them, 25 or 27 or 35 of them, were killed by Amir al-Muminin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. So half of those 70 were killed by Amir al-Muminin, and the rest was with Hamza and Bilal and the other Muslimin and the Muhajirun that were there, the blessed companions of the Holy Prophet. And 70 other of the Quraysh were taken as asir, or taken as sold as captives or prisoners. Then some of the property came and it was given between the Muslimin. So when the Muslims attacked, the rule of that time was that when they received the spoils of war, they share it amongst themselves, and the khums is given to the Holy Prophet. So that's the history about this surah. Very interesting. What are the contents of this surah? Let us go to the contents. Loud salawat, please. So when the war was beginning, the Holy Prophet, what did he do? He took some sand and with his blessed hands, he blew it toward them. He just blew the sand toward the people of Makkah. And then they could not see, or one tradition says that their faces changed and they had a lot of fear in themselves. That is why in verse number 17, which is a famous ayah, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنْ الرَّمَى وَلَكِنْ اللَّهَ رَمَى. That means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who threw, you were not the one who threw. This is the mutashabihat again. Allah is not throwing. But the throwing of the Holy Prophet was very close. And its blessings and its effects were guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the people of Makkah became blind and became confused. Then the purpose of war, why are these people fighting? Is it that Islam means attack? Islam means aggression? No, it does not. Islam means defense. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching in verse number 56 that you should have a pact, ahad, with everybody else. الَّذِينَ أَحَطَّ مِنْهُمْ ثُمَّ يَنْقُضُونَ أَهْدَهُمْ فِي كُلِّ مَرَّةٍ ثُمَّ يَنْقُضُونَ أَهْدَهُمْ فِي كُلِّ مَرَّةٍ وَهُمْ لَا يَتَّقُونَ. Those who break their pact of peace with you every single time. Every single time you can defend yourself, not attack yourself, not attack from your side, but defend yourself against them. The second thing is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling the Muslimin in war to obey Allah and His Prophet. In war, when it is hot, when the Muslims are fighting the mushrikeen on the other side, what will happen? The Muslimin, they will get confused or they will get lost, or sometimes their nafs will show itself. Or sometimes they will want to take something that is not theirs. Or sometimes they might want to attack the women and the children. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds them, He says in verse number 20, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ati'u Allah war rasula. So, O you who believe, obey Allah and His Prophet. وَلَا تَوَلَّوْا عَنْهُ وَأَنْتُمْ تَسْمَعُونَ. While you are listening to Him, while He is speaking to you, do not turn away from Him. Do not go away from Him. Do not let your nafs control you. Obey, because the rules of war are extremely strict. Do not do whatever you want, but be very careful. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ قَالُوا سَمِعْنَا وَهُمْ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ. Verse number 21, do not be like those people who say that we have heard, but they do not hear. They want to do whatever they want in war. No, you have to be very careful. The rules of war or engagement in Islam are very particular. They're only until the other person starts the fight and you defend yourself. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alihi. What is the attitude that the Muslims should have toward the other side? In verse number 38, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says of this surah, قُلْ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِنْ يَنْتَهُوا يُغْفَرْ لَهُمْ مَا قَدْ سَلَفْ. Say to those kuffar who are fighting you, that if they stop fighting and if they come to your side, Allah will forgive them مَا قَدْ سَلَفْ, whatever they have done in the past. If they accept Islam, then you have to forgive them. Subhanallah. That you are fighting them, and in the middle of the fight they say, I want to stop fighting, I want to accept Islam. You have to stop yourself. Very difficult, brothers and sisters, for anyone who is in war. But this again, the Muslims have to follow the Holy Prophet and have to give the chance every single time to those people who are fighting. And you should fight to spread the deen. وَيَكُونُ الدِّينُ كُلُّهُ لِلَّهِ. Verse number 39, that the deen should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why you're fighting. You're not fighting for your country, you're not fighting for your name, you're not fighting for your tribe, you're not fighting for yourself, you're fighting for the deen of Allah. That means you have to do the ita'ah and the obedience of the Holy Prophet. If He tells you to stop, you have to stop. And if He tells you to go, you have to go. So it's extremely difficult. The nafs and the self has to be under the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Holy Prophet. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alihi. In verse number 45, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds the Muslimin to, when they fight, they must remember Allah. فَاثْبِتُوا وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. Do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the war. Do not forget that you are fighting for His deen, you are struggling for His deen in general. You're giving from your wealth and yourselves to establish the truth no matter what happens to you, and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and remember the purpose for which He is given. And when the Muslimin see the group of unbelievers who are being aggressive or who are showing themselves off, who are being proud, the Muslims are required to be humble and to say to the disbelievers that they cannot be more powerful than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the deen belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَبَقُوا إِنَّهُمْ لَا يُعْجِزُونَ. Verse number 59. That those who are faithless, they should not suppose that they have outmaneuvered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they have become very clever, sabaqu, that they have gone forward from the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They cannot make holes and they cannot bypass the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salawat ala Muhammad. Two more things. Lastly, in this surah, the Muslimin are a small group, 313, correct? Versus 900. So the Muslims are outnumbered 3 to 1. 3 to 1, my brothers and sisters, the Muslims are outnumbered. But they win. Why? Because they are again obeying the Holy Prophet and they are with the Holy Prophet. Ya ayyuhan nabi, hasbukallahu wa man ittaba'aka min al-muminin. O Holy Prophet, sufficient is for you, though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those who follow you from the mu'mineen. Even the small group that follows you from the mu'mineen, that is sufficient for you. And verse number 65 says, if there are 20 ishruna sabiruna minkum, if there are 20 patient mu'mineen from you, then yaghlibuna mi'atayn, they will be victorious over 200. And if there are 100 from you, وَإِن يَكُن مِّنكُم مِّئَةٌ, if there are 100 from you, يَغْلِبُونَ أَلْفًا مِّنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. يَغْلِبُونَ أَلْفًا مِّنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Verse number 65. That if there are 100 Muslimin, they can overcome 1,000 of the kuffar. Why? Because they are sabirun, they are muti'una lillahi wa lirrasul. The conditions are very strict and very harsh. The Holy Prophet says you have to obey, you have to understand why you are going and defending Islam, and only then can you become successful. So the war in Islam is not something you do just to invade some other country and just for no reason. No. In defensive jihad and offensive jihad, the conditions are very strict. The world must know about this. That the ideas that Islam is this kind of religion, that kind of religion are completely false. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali. The last thing I want to share, the benefits and the fawaid of reciting this surah. We have many traditions from the Holy Prophet and Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. Related from Abu Basir, related this riwayah from the Imam that whoever recites this surah along with Surah Tawbah, then, which is the following surah, surah number 9, then that person will have no nifaq, bari'un min al-nifaq, will have no hypocrisy. And it is recommended that it should be recited at least once a month. Once in a month you should recite surah number 8 at a certain point. 75 verses is not too much. It is a shorter surah compared to the other surahs around it. So brothers and sisters, please, I recommend myself and to you to inshallah recite this surah regularly at least once a month and pay attention to its meaning as it has the history of the Battle of Badr and the rules of war. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi.